Ladies and gentlemen, this session is sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Please welcome President and Chief Executive Officer of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Daniel Loepp.
Good afternoon, everybody. Am I mic'd in good? That's good. I was thinking back, 2007, I was the chair of this conference, which is mind-boggling, except when I look at Sandy Pierce, and she was the conference chair before me. But it's amazing how we've gotten where we've gotten, and I have to say, this conference has been phenomenal. Arn Tellem, who took the bull by the horns, I would say, to really make things happen. And Arn, thank you very much. Because I know what it takes to do this, and you did a great job. And I want to recognize too, Wright Lassiter, who is still going to be here within Michigan, but he's moving on to a great career in healthcare across the nation. And Wright, thank you for your leadership. And I also want to recognize every year, the one thing I did learn, and Sandy, you know this, and Wright, you know this, what staff did to make this happen, because staff made it happen. And thanks to everybody in the staff at the Chamber, Wendy, and the whole crew just does a terrific job. Every year. So I think it's my 10th year that I get to introduce the next speaker in both parties, which has been a blast, although introducing this speaker is a lot of fun for me from a personal standpoint. And we're going to talk a little bit later, but the governor has really had to deal with all kinds of stuff. And I think done a masterful job. Not that you're necessarily going to agree or disagree with what she's done, but I think she's weathered the storm. And so it is my great pleasure to introduce the governor of the great state of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer.
Well, thank you. I am so glad to be here. And when Dan says we've dealt with a lot of stuff, there are a lot of other words that would describe all the things we've had to confront. But it's good to be back on the island. It's hard to believe that it's been a year since we were here, but that's because it really hasn't been a year, right? I want to start by thanking the conference chair, Arn Tellem, Chamber CEO, Sandy Barua, the Chamber leadership, and the staff for their hard work. And I think it's also important to recognize the people who show up long before any of us gets here and stay long after we leave. The chefs and the servers and the janitors, housekeeping, landscaping, desk staff, all who make this run smoothly. Since I rarely enter through a front door anymore, I can tell you it's a beehive of activity in the kitchen. And so let's give all the staff a great round of applause. So my keynote last year focused on our shared challenges and getting things done. I mentioned the wise words of Bobby Kennedy, reminding us to seek to understand with compassion and love. And I also remembered the great philosopher Ted Lasso's call on all of us to be curious, not judgmental. That, of course, is really Walt Whitman, but let's give it to Ted. Behind me is this year's theme. Clearly, we're all seeing a lot of the same things. The underlying challenge that is universal is our divide. To move our state forward, we must heal that divide by sitting down at tables with people who disagree with us. We must put our collective success first and do the hard work of being uncomfortable, because that is the way things get done, side by side. At our best, it's what we all do. We're Michiganders. We have heart and we have grit. We wake up every day to take care of the people that we love the most. This instinct is what drives us. And when we center our desire to act, we can get a lot done, including what I'll be talking about today. We must think beyond the year ahead, or even the next 4 years, as we grapple with big questions about our divide and the, as you put it, fundamental tenets of American democracy. So it's hard not to think about our future, Michigan, in the year 2100. Now, not to stress you out, but the year 2100 is only 4,000 weeks away. Perspective is a good thing, and sometimes it can be hard to come by in this political environment. But to me, probably like many of you, 1999 doesn't seem like that long ago. I was a newly minted attorney at Dickinson Wright. I was a Seinfeld fanatic. No kids yet. As we crossed into the new millennium, there was a little unfounded concern about Y2K and a real sense of boundless possibility. We had just rounded out one of the most consequential centuries in American history. There were world wars, proxy wars, and a moon landing. Penicillin, refrigeration, and television. Movements for gender equality and civil rights. And here in Michigan, we had a heck of a story to tell. In the 20th century, Michigan became the manufacturing capital of the world, with talent from across the world. We flexed our industrial strength to help win World War II. And in the post-war era, we delivered a middle-class quality of life at a great cost of living to generations of families. Now, obviously, that's a simple retelling of a complicated story, but the point is, we got a whole lot done. And now we're nearly a quarter of the way through the 21st century. My daughters are adults, and Nirvana is considered classic rock. A lot has changed over the last 22 years. And this is a reasonable time for us to start thinking beyond the next quarter, the next year, or even the next decade. The question we need to consider today is, what will be the Michigan story for this century? What will our grandchildren revere us for? What will they curse us for? And if you'll allow me to be a little existential, will we make them proud? Today, let's talk about how we can move toward the year 2100 with confidence by acting now to help Michigan thrive for generations. Let's work together, make our kids proud, and give our grandkids a bright future. First, a recap of what we've done since we were here just in September. Tough times call for tough people, and through everything the world has thrown at us, we've gotten a lot done. Today, our economy is growing. We are open for business. We continue to lead the way on everything from manufacturing to chips to sustainable development. A week after the conference last year, I signed our third balanced bipartisan budget to do many things, including fix the Miller Road Bridge and 99 other local bridges, putting $500 million, the largest one-time deposit ever, into our rainy day fund, bringing it to an all-time high of nearly $1.5 billion. We made the largest investment ever in childcare, helping employees get back to work knowing their kids are safe and cared for. We expanded our successful workforce development programs like Reconnect and Going Pro. People like Richard from Jackson, who'd been laid off, went back to school to realize his dream of working in healthcare. He wrote to us because he was grateful for the Reconnect, for giving him the initiative and opportunity he needed to start this new adventure. Now, we asked him if he might want to consider sending in a different picture. He insisted on this one. Richard's looking good, right? In November, KLA, a Silicon Valley-based Fortune 500 semiconductor firm, opened their second global headquarters in Ann Arbor, 600 jobs, bringing supply chain from China to the state of Michigan. For months, we've faced the chip crisis head-on, advocating for the passage of the Federal CHIPS Act, which will create and protect hundreds of thousands of jobs. We should all urge our delegation, I know Senator Stabenow is at the front of the line, to get this done as soon as possible. In December, we cut personal property taxes for small businesses and enacted bipartisan economic development legislation. Thanks to all of you who helped us get it done. The Detroit Regional Chamber was a huge partner in getting this over the finish line. And now we have armed Michigan with the tools to fight for every dollar and every job. And it's paying off. In January, we competed against several other states and won a $7 billion investment from General Motors, the largest in company history, creating 4,000 jobs, retaining 1,000 more, building batteries and electric vehicles. On that day, I stood next to a legislative leader who said the economic well-being of our state isn't a partisan matter. Another leader said, I was willing to work with anyone from either side of the aisle to find a way to make this work. Both of those guys are right, and I appreciate their partnership. In February, we forged a public-private partnership with Ford and Google to transform the Michigan Central Station in Detroit into a global hub for mobility innovation. In March, I signed the bipartisan Building Michigan Together plan, supercharging our work to fix the roads, protect clean water, build affordable housing, expand high-speed internet, and improve parks while supporting over 30,000 jobs. Yeah. Well, I hope you all like orange because you'll be seeing a lot of cones and barrels all summer. But best of all, the plan is going to improve people's lives. People like Mary from Detroit, a senior who wants the roads fixed so she can have a smooth, safe drive to church and travel more around our state. Or Rebecca in Charlevoix, who wants to buy a home in northern Michigan, but told me there's just not enough attainable houses, and that a lack of affordable housing is driving her peers away and worsening worker shortages. And Linda in Holland, whose granddaughter is a pre-med student at Wayne State, lived with her during the pandemic because she didn't have internet access at home. Also in March, I signed the 800th bipartisan bill to hit my desk. And in April, we landed a $1.7 billion expansion from LG Energy Solution, creating 1,200 jobs in Holland, building battery components for electric vehicles. In May, we opened the FRIB, the Facility for Rare Isotope Beams at MSU, and the Wacker Innovation Center in Ann Arbor, cementing our status as a high-tech R&D hub. And earlier today, we had more good news. Thanks to our Economic Development Fund, we fought for and won a $2 billion investment from Ford, creating 3,200 jobs at several facilities across Southeast Michigan. I think Speaker Wentworth said it best during our panel a few hours ago when he said that the headline is Michigan wins big. I'm so proud that we got this done. It was teamwork. And it's a testament to what we are capable of when we work together. Now, in the months ahead, let's continue the spirit of collaboration. Our task is clear. 1, finish our education budget by the end of this month so districts can get ready for the upcoming school year. 2, deliver a balanced bipartisan budget that invests in the kitchen table issues, ideally also by June 30th as required by law. And 3, deploy our remaining federal funds. 3 months ago, time is challenging these days, right? 3 months ago, I put forward my budget proposal, and here are a few highlights. We're focused on building a strong, growing economy by lowering costs for working families, powering small businesses, and investing in every community. But the core of my budget is top of mind for all parents here today, myself included: education. Every parent wants to help their children catch up and get on track for long-term success. Every employer knows today's students are tomorrow's workforce, and every educator wants to help their students thrive. We all recognize that when our kids excel in school, Michigan succeeds. As we head into the fall, I want to be clear, students need to be in school. Last year, enrollment increased, and we've got to build on that trend. To do so, my education budget improves every student's in-class experience, builds up school infrastructure, and invests in our teachers. Building up our kids with the highest per-student funding ever without raising taxes. That means $9,135 for every student in every district. It means tutoring, personalized learning with programs like My Kids Back on Track to help our kids catch up and get ahead after a tough few years. It means textbooks and more extracurriculars, AP and honors classes. Let's also hire hundreds more on-campus mental health professionals to help our kids grow into their best selves. Building up our schools with $1 billion investment in school infrastructure. Now the need is clear because we know just yesterday Detroit students were sent home early because of high temperatures and a lack of adequate air conditioning. We can fix that. Let's do it. Together we can help schools build and improve facilities for kids to learn math and science and technology. We can improve their air and water quality and create good-paying construction jobs along the way. And building up our educators with bonuses and programs to boost recruitment and retention. It is a tough time to work in schools. Staff shortages, increased trauma, increased threats of violence, learning loss, all make this job harder than ever. To encourage our staff to stick with our kids, I propose bonuses and fellowships and stipends to help student teachers and help districts hire more than 15,000 new teachers. The last couple of years have been hard on every single one of us, to varying degrees, obviously, but including our teachers like Erin from Detroit. Like a lot of teachers, Erin had to ask for donations online simply for school supplies, and he lived with relatives to make ends meet. After 2 years, he quit. Now, parents know that the person in front of their kid's classroom matters. Just like you fight to keep top talent, we got to recruit and retain the best educators in every classroom to improve outcomes and better prepare our kids for the future. Excellent educators are critical to achieve our long-term economic goals, from becoming a top 10 state for small business to shoring up our manufacturing strength. And to that end, I want to thank Launch Michigan for informing our teacher recruitment and retention strategy. The My Future Educator Fellowship was a brainchild of this cross-sector bipartisan group, showing that policymaking works best when we collaborate to solve our shared challenges. Education is top of mind for us all, especially our kids. Braylon, a high schooler from the UP, wrote to me about our schools. She wrote viscerally about underfunded schools and the awesome power of a great education. She described schools with overcrowded classrooms, heating issues, and a lack of school supplies. She reminds us that investing in education leads to higher graduation rates and wages, in addition to societal savings and lower crime rates and incarceration. The hard truth is that Braylon is paying the cost of decades of political agendas and disinvestment in our schools. She reminds us that talent and promise reside in every county of Michigan, and it's our shared obligation to ensure that opportunity does too. Let's get it done and make her proud. Now let's talk about another opportunity to collaborate, entrepreneurship. Our work on economic development has been successful. Since December, we've landed big projects from GM, LG Energy Solution, and Ford. We must also ensure that aspiring entrepreneurs and businesses of all sizes have a reason to stay and to grow in Michigan. In towns and cities across the state, small businesses are the anchors of their communities. And the data is clear. Michigan's entrepreneurs are fired up. Despite 2 volatile, unpredictable years, hardworking entrepreneurs have shown relentless drive to succeed. Just in the last 3 years, over 420,000 businesses have formed in Michigan, including 312,000 since March of 2020. When the whole world turned upside down, entrepreneurs got to work. In 2021, an average of over 12,500 businesses were formed every single month. That's up 60% compared to 2018 and 77% compared to 2017. And the trend continues into 2022, with an average of 11,000 businesses a month this year. Let's make sure these small businesses succeed. Entrepreneurs need support from concept to cash flow. And then let's fund boot camps for aspiring and current business owners about how to scale up, and then offer them a grant to hit the ground running. Your expertise on how best to do this is truly encouraged and appreciated. Because together, I think we can unleash the power of our entrepreneurs to uplift urban, rural, and suburban communities, create more vibrant places where people want to live and visit and spend and invest. We can get this done. We've accomplished a lot over the last couple of years. Since taking office, we've grown our economy, created good-paying jobs, and lowered costs for families. Together, we've focused on the fundamentals, jobs and roads and schools and water and so much more, all bipartisan, without raising taxes. I know, it's hard to believe, but it's true, not a cent. In fact, we've cut taxes. We repealed the tampon tax and cut the personal property taxes for small business owners. And I proposed 2 more tax changes to put money in people's pockets, repealing the retirement tax for our seniors and tripling the earned income tax credit for working families. Divided government does not have to mean dysfunctional government. Our work is proof of what's possible when we focus on our collective success. Now I want to look a little further ahead and talk about something I mentioned earlier, Michigan in the year 2100. The story of Michigan's last century is well known and it's often told. We put the world on wheels, we assembled the arsenal of democracy, we built the middle class. How did our predecessors do these big things? Can we live up to that legacy? Will we build a state worthy of our children and our grandchildren? We can, and we must. Today, there's so much good work going on all across our state. In factories where batteries are forged, to laboratories where breakthroughs are made. Universities where the next generation is incubating ideas that will define our future. Classrooms where students are finding their voices and developing their passions. In the dreams of every hardworking Michigander. We've got so much potential and promise, but we need century-defining goals to coalesce around and shoot for. Here's what I'm thinking. First, our shared prosperity. In the 21st century, Michigan will electrify the world and become the manufacturing hub of the future. From batteries and life sciences to electric vehicles and software, Michigan can become the epicenter of innovation. From our biggest manufacturers to countless small and medium-sized firms, Michiganders will find ample opportunities in 2100 to apply their talents in good-paying, high-skilled jobs. Second, place, this beautiful place we call home. We are the Great Lakes state, and with that honor comes an awesome responsibility. In the 21st century, Michigan will go to the mat for the Great Lakes. We're home to 21% of the world's fresh surface water, and we are the envy of every other state. We will protect that water and remain a bastion of bountiful natural resources, especially as climate change continues impacting the global supply of clean drinking water. And finally, our people. Much of our 20th century success was rooted in our ability to attract and retain families from across the country and around the world to bring their talents to Michigan. At our best, we're a beacon for people who want the basics, a good-paying job, great schools, clean air and water, a chance to get ahead and hope for the future. In the 21st century, that must be our final essential goal. Create a great quality of life, maintain a good middle-class cost of living. That means building the best public schools to prepare our kids for the economy of the future and achieving our 60 by 30 goal to have 60% of Michiganders with a post-secondary certificate or degree by 2030. In just over 3 years, we've gone from 45% to almost 50% already. We are making great strides, and in the decades ahead, let's go farther. 90 by 60 has a nice ring to it. Someone really loves that. All right, good. It also means replacing our lead service lines and ensuring every Michigander has high-speed internet. It means more of the things that define Michigan's vibrant culture: parks, craft breweries, Carhartt's continued domination of style, and high-profile global events, from trade shows to sporting events that put the spotlight on our extraordinary state. These are goals that transcend 1, 2, 3, 10 administrations. They will be the result of decades of grit and determination. That's my vision. In the weeks and months ahead, heck, in the next hour, you'll hear a lot of other ideas. As always, I welcome honest conversations about our future. But know this: achieving our goals, however lofty or ordinary, is predicated on competent leaders in the private sector and public sector who have the courage of their convictions and know how to get things done. So as we chase our collective success, we must also be a state where women have bodily autonomy and equal rights. Well, this is a great focus group. Good to know. Michigan must also be a place that is welcoming and inclusive to the LGBTQ+ communities, to refugees and people of color. Because in Michigan, we know that everybody in is a better philosophy than everyone on your own. Michigan needs to be a state that works for everyone, no matter what you look like, where you were born, how much money you've got in your pocket, or who you love. And critically, we must build a Michigan that attracts talented young people. Heck, I'm focused on retaining talent in my own house. I have 2 smart daughters who will be graduating from U of M in the coming years, and they will be making decisions. Go Blue, all right, we'll say it. This dress is what happens when you move your child in and got to kill time at the M-Den. You know what I mean? I can say go blue, but I can also say go green. Anyway. But these 2 daughters of mine, like everyone in their generation, and many generations between mine and theirs, they're going to graduate, and they're going to make decisions about where to build their lives. I want the answer to be Michigan. Let's build a Michigan where the most innovative companies choose to invest, a Michigan defined by grit, where we come together to get things done. That's the Michigan I want for my daughters and for all of our kids. While other states go backwards, I want to move our state forward. As you leave here, I want you to think about Michigan in the year 2100. Think about what you want future generations to remember us for. Think about what you want Michigan to mean to your kids and grandkids. It's something I do often. So my mom died of glioblastoma multiforme, brain cancer. She was 59. On my 50th birthday last August, over my coffee, I sat down and made a list. I started with the things for which I was grateful. I keep those gratitude lists. I don't know how many of you do, but it's really helpful. So I listed everything I was grateful for, and it quickly evolved into the things I want to accomplish in my life. Unsurprisingly, a lot of it revolved around my family. As we talk about the year 2100, I know I won't be here. My girls might be. Maybe they'll have kids who will be too. As I look around the world, I am worried. I know many of you are too. Too many of us devote far too much time and attention to angertainment. Too many mimic divisive rhetoric to score cheap points or to achieve short-term goals. Today, too often, ideology prevails over ideas. I don't have time for that, and I sure as hell don't want to live that way. And I suspect none of you wants to either. I want to solve problems. I want to grow our economy and create jobs and lower costs, shore up civil rights, safeguard workers' rights, and protect human rights. Because we must show the world Michigan is a safe, serious place where business should invest and more families should call home. And frankly, I want to live a happy, productive life, like we all do. Constant bitterness and negativity and despair are no way to live. I want to make my girls proud, not only in what I do, but how I do it. And I know that's something that we all feel. It's precisely why I'm hopeful about our future. We can reject cynicism and pessimism and fatalism that are all too pervasive today. We can solve problems together. We have an obligation to do so. Let's keep forging ahead and ensure others experience the joy that comes with our collective success. Together, let's make Michigan that epicenter of innovation and protect our Great Lakes and build a solid quality of life at a good cost of living. Underlying these goals is a simple motivation: to build a state worthy of our kids, so they'll make Michigan home. To close, I want to quote President Teddy Roosevelt, who reminded us that the poorest way to face life is with a sneer. Instead, he said we ought to be in the arena, because there's no effort without error or shortcoming, and he who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. I have no doubt that Michigan's future is bright, and I will work hard every day to make it so. To the year 2100, here we go. Thank you.
Joining the governor on stage, please welcome back Daniel Loepp.
So, Governor, I've known you a long time, and I looked at the pictures and I thought of your mom. Your mom was I don't know that very many people have met your mom, but she was a phenomenal lady. She was a great lady, and her granddaughters have grown up just like her, and you can see in your eyes how proud you are of them, and they're going to grow into great ladies, and it's pretty cool. And I've known them since they were babies, so it's just phenomenal. And when you talk about them and you beam about it, it's great. And so good for you, and God bless your mom, and I like your dad too. So we got a couple of questions. It's interesting that as I think about it, we talked a little bit earlier today, that 4 years ago we were here, I think on the exact day, maybe not, and there were 7 people on this stage having a debate, and boy, has the world changed. And I'm just curious, and I think people here would like to know, you went through a pretty tough election, and all the stuff that's going on. What's your thought process over the 4 years from 4 years ago? Because it's really, when you think about it, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, there have been a lot of challenges, that's for sure. I don't think any of us could have ever contemplated the series of events that we would have to navigate. I'll say this, even on the hardest day, I still feel really lucky to be here. And there have been some heavy days. Whether it was, the outcome of that infamous trial, or it was, seeing just the challenges around the pandemic and the incredible loss of life. We've had a lot thrown at us, but I feel very fortunate to be here. I love this state. I really, think we've got something special, and it's an honor to be the leader, even with all the heat that comes my way. Every day there's inspiration. And some days you gotta be a little more intentional to see the inspiration, but every day there are good people in our state who are working hard, showing up, doing what they need to do to take care of other people or solving problems, and that gives me a lot of inspiration every day.
That's great. And the greatest, like I said, as I repeat it, I've known you a long time. The great line that I hear from people talking about you is that you have backbone. And given all the stuff that's gone on in the last 4 years, your backbone has shown, and I think we as citizens of Michigan appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm going to ask one more question because everybody wants to go see the Republicans debate to see who's going to lose to the governor. But you know, when you think about the 4 years that you've been, or almost 4 years that you've been in office, what are you most proud of?
You know, we've gotten a lot of great stuff done. We really have. You know, I talk about the 800th bipartisan bill. Everything significant that's happened, we've really taken these steps together. I think about the Ford announcement earlier today, the General Motors announcement, the historic investments in education to wrap our kids with the support now more than ever is so crucial as we want to get our kids back on track. We've grown the ranks of who's on Healthy Michigan. We have 1 million people now. We've added 250,000 people just in the last few years, and that was a bipartisan effort led by my predecessor. I mean, we've made a lot of wonderful strides. That skills gap that we are closing, I wanted to share that number because we were at 45% when I took office, and despite all the challenges of a pandemic and that we've been confronting, we've almost gotten to 50% already. We didn't think we could get there that fast. We knew it was possible, but we weren't confident that it would 100% happen.
Right.
The fact that we did it with all these additional challenges is really pretty incredible. So, you know, I'm never one to care about credit. I just want to get things done. And, you know, the legislature, we've had our differences, but
right.
we have found common ground on some really important things. And in this role, I remember Governor Snyder used to say relentless positive action, RPA. He'd say it over and over again. And I think, you know, some of us kind of are like, RP, you know, he'd say it so often. But it actually, it's really smart. It's about staying at it and staying positive and moving forward. And I think that's something to, you know, to center the work that we all do. I don't know that I'll grab onto the same phrase, but the philosophy, I think, is really important in leadership and the public sector and the private sector. And so long as we keep making space for others to be a part of solving problems and to empower voices that maybe traditionally have not been there, we're going to end up with a better result for everybody.
That's great, and we appreciate your service. It's been a tough 4 years, but you know, you battle it out. You're a battler. I know you, and we appreciate your service and your time, and so let's thank the governor.
Thank you.